right, so here we have another confessions update, just kind of let you know where things have been going. I recently went on just checking out analytics or whatever, and I saw that some of those videos actually had quite a few subscribers or some interest there in the journey, right? So it has been such a journey being online and, exposing myself the way that I do. So anyone really that like puts their stuff out there like that is exposing themselves. So initially, I had started doing, gaining a little popularity, people doing the yoga, going through the yoga teacher training, um which really had kind of, I mean, I learned a lot, and I'm not, I wouldn't, obviously I didn't take it back because it's been part of the journey or whatever, but it really made me feel like I needed to be a certain way. Like I needed to be like all like that my teacher, like them. Um and so but it was trying to do that, and I was, even though intentions aside, I was still sort of like getting more um what's the right word, like sexual attention than I just didn't foresee any of that. And so it all like took me kind of like by surprise. And and then also like brought up like my own past situations and stuff. And then I started to feel really confused and be swayed. I'm like by maybe like more like what my audience might, want, other than like really what my goals and intentions were. And so that's where, like, at the beginning of the year, I was just feeling very lost, and I have really, like, a lot of sounding boards to go off of, or people to reach out to, and be like, what the heck? So I did sign up for, like, some school coaching type stuff that really helped me, because I was feeling, like, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and then but I also like wasn't really sure if that was mine or where it was coming from or what I needed to do. And and so that's sort of where like the stuff came up at the beginning of the year, and where I have like made the shift and like has started creating my own exotic systems program. And at first, I, I thought, and trying to really like work with my limitation, learning how to work with what I foresee as my limitations, anyways. And so, and not all successfully at first. And when I first started doing it, like I thought that the limitation, was my audience, was all these men. But we have, I mean, the people that are drawn to you for a reason. And if I just needed to like take some time, take a step back, add to my own like program of teaching, right? Like, so I have enhanced that, like, to really see what was coming up for me, why it was coming up, and a lot of it was like the should. So like taking really like special consideration into like when I'm like, oh, I should do this or I shouldn't do that, and then where where that's coming from, and is it really my beliefs, or and so yeah, just and I do kind of walk a fine line here on, I don't know how the best way to describe it, but like I've always wanted, being in the middle is boring for me. Like I kind of always like to be on the cutting edge, always, so like for me, taking, it wasn't really my audience that was a limitation. It was me not really understanding like what I had to offer them, or only seeing, this one, sex appeal, which, sure, but also isn't the whole story, right? So what is it in my life that I've gone through? Like, what are these things that are sort of being expressed in my practice that are drawing these people to me? And that's like embodiment, really. It's that I feel really um embodied, sensual, and so I've had all these experiences, and I've also had, all like the shame and the trauma they've had to like overcome. um And as well as all these like, years of yoga and like working on like overcoming everything. So now like I'm really at a place that like being in my body feels good. and and then taking that into the key is how I can kind of niche down this road now that I have accepted that, like, yeah, these are the things that I have to offer. Um, and it's exciting for me because it is, cutting edge or whatever. And it's a little more tantric if you're familiar with that term, but like being present, right? Like, and so I have written these notes. That's why I keep looking down. I want to make sure I'm covering everything for you all. Right, and so I had to get really clear why I was doing everything, and then so a big part of what I was like feeling guilt and shame around was on Patreon. I do a personal practice, and at first I wanted it to be reflective of maybe like what someone's yoga, like specifically yoga, um, personal practice would look like. And then this is where everything started to like kind of get muddy and it brought up a bunch of stuff. I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, well, if I wear, less, then I get more views. And then it became a little bit more. And then I started to get confused. And I'm like, oh, I'm just doing this to get, my intentions were all messed up. Um, and so that's why I was like, pump the brakes, said all that crazy, kind of like brought attention to it at the beginning of the year, like, oh, I need to figure this out. Created exotic systems to like help me get rid of the yoga label, so, or the box, right? Like, I don't want to do a disservice to yoga, but like my actual personal practice is more dynamic and inspired from yoga and my dancing, exotic dancing days, or any kind of other movement that I have been exposed to. But I didn't want to like get dogged on by, that's not everyone, so many, right? Like, and then I already felt like, is this even right for me, So I kind of paused there, toned it down for a little while, and took some time to consider why I do it, what it is about it. And it comes, I think it comes, I really like to do it. So like, right, it's not right or wrong. It's only right or wrong for you or me, right? Like, so it's really like needing to figure out my own boundaries and like, where is it end? Where does it begin? And I love to dance, and back in dancing, I don't like dance on people. Like, I wasn't really, you know, no. But on stage, and I think a lot of performers can probably relate to this. Like, it's exhilarating, and and it wasn't, and I sucked terribly at it to begin with. How to feel dumb and and when you begin anything where you're not good at it. But I got to a point where I was good and flowing with the music and the energy. That was really inspiring to me, and it took a long time, and I missed it for a really long time. And so I've taken that into consideration that I like to move like that, like I taught myself, this is sort of that's what I'm basing the exotic systems classes off of. Like, it'd be more choppy when you do it in a class, but you could learn the movements and hopefully, it's geared to sort of like teach you my personal practice, like the exotic system. Anyways, but yeah, it's sexy and sensual, and people are gonna view that however they're gonna view that through their lens, right? So I've just had to like come to accept that like I feel full and embodied and beautiful when I'm doing it. I'm never gonna be nude. Like, if that's like a boundary for me. Like, and I think there really is more to like the hint, like not just, you know, showing it all anyways. But yeah, the outfits are a little sexier and whatever, and I have decided like that's okay with me as long as it's what I feel is sexy and I'm moving in it, and to like use it as an opportunity to Because you know when you're like showing up, you try hard. I don't know, like it really like gives me like to like advance my practice so that it is really like worthy of like very artistic and beautiful. So I've let that be okay. And yeah, because and then that's also like part of the work this year is doing is like and I think a lot of women, I think people in general are like aren't we suffer a little bit when we have separated the spiritual and the sexual energies, and they're really like the same. And so like that's where all the stuff is coming up, like how can this feel so dancing and feeling embodied in a beautiful way, and then still also be a spiritual teacher. Maybe that won't resonate with everybody, but that's also another lesson is like that's how you can't please everybody. We all have different views of things and lenses, and if it resonates, as I speak like from the heart, you'll know if it's for you or not, and that's okay. um, I just want to try like this sort of raw experience as I travel through trying to show up authentically, um, in a way that's like not trauma dumping either, right? Like, so this movement, um, this new like kind of movement modality, I'm just calling exotic systems so that yoga doesn't get offended. And but it has a lot of yoga movements in it because I mean we all know how good yoga is, but also because a lot of extra pelvic movements, a lot of extra fluid type movements, so that you can connect a little deeper with the senses, with your sensuality, and then it's also really like good for pelvic floor health. So I don't know, and I think it's fun. So it's going pretty well. The views are pretty high, so I haven't gotten as much feedback, as I would like. But I'm just gonna, keep at it. It really probably needs a little more refinement for sure. Things get better over time, right? If you keep poking at them. So for now, and if, it'll work out or it won't. So, but for now, it's a thing, and I'm gonna keep at it. What else has been going on Patreon is we just finished I ran a whole sex magic series where we worked really on embodying and really thinking about sexual energy, creating a more erotic life in tandem with working a vision, of your choice on Enneagram. It was like 8 or 9 weeks. It's a long series, a class each week with like corresponding classes and journal prompts and homework. Um, to really learn how a solid format for manifesting anything using sexual magic. So you could check that out. I'm probably going to run it live next year again, refine it even more. And then next year, in a week or two, we're going to be starting a new series, which is embodying the sensations. So really working on becoming present with all the senses. It'll be another 8 or 9 week program. 1 or 2 classes a week with homework, corresponding classes, and meditation. Really just kind of depends on what sense, right? So we'll work through our more gross senses, visual, scent, taste, and then work towards our more refined, yeah, so that, really a lesson in presence and embodiment. So I hope that will be fun. It's Patreon is just $25 a month, or you can wait for the whole series to come out and then it'll be for sale. So check that out if you're interested. I think that about covers everything that's needing to come that I needed to talk about, right? I did say a little bit that I had wanted to change my right, but my audience is reflective of me, and so like it's really that's what the whole journey has been, was being like what is it that I have to offer that everyone's and it's more than sex appeal, right? Like it is I think really kind of niching into awareness and becoming present and embodiment. So I feel like I can offer that. So if that makes sense, you know. So like you go from like standard yoga teacher, and I'm just keep like, you know, niching down into, it feels like sensations, a little more erotic energy, using that, calling on that to, you know, do all these things. But really, you gotta become aware first. So, why can't I just keep it like normal yoga teacher? I mean, that's not me. I don't really even fit in there. So I definitely keep on doing the yoga. Like, if you're like, that's, you're crazy, I'm not interested in all your nonsense, that's fine. I'm still plan on doing solid yoga, slightly traditional classes, because it's amazing and beneficial, and I have a lot of people relying on that, so don't worry. This is just sort of like what I'm carrying on about Patreon. And also on Patreon, like, all those regular yoga classes come out first. So if you just want to be like, get the classes first, you could join the lower tier. I think that's $10 a month, and you get the classes a week and journal prompts and stuff like that. So I did pretty good here as I'm scrolling through, covering most of this stuff. So maybe at first I didn't understand my audience, but the more I deep dive into myself and what I have to offer, it, like I said, it is that awareness, embodiment, riding the edge of topics of sexual and spiritual energy, learning how to feel good in your body, overcoming old programming, and feeling alive with life again, like making your dreams happen. So, yep, and always be working. I'll be always be working on my teachings, working on myself, trying to like upgrade and share sort of what's current, what's happening. It is interesting as I share this. You know, I wanted, when I put out that, you know, just how we change and we grow in the first one, and, you know, it's determined, I'm gonna have, you know, women follow, they're gonna love me, and then no one really came, and having to accept that, and accept that, you know, I need to honor my audience, and I do have stuff to offer, and just need to get it together and put it out there. So that's why we did the sex magic series, and we'll be doing more teaching type things, because I am sacred, and you know, I am a little profane at the same time. So if you want to learn how to embody both, then I'm the right teacher for you. And if you're just interested in rainbows and sunshine, probably not. But all right, well, thanks for listening to me carry on. I'll keep you updated as things progress. All right, see you later.